Okay, welcome back. Let's get into the stock market technical analysis. We'll use the charts to be our guide, ideally looking for good trade setups, possible trade out, really looking for market direction and good trade setups that we can ideally profit on. So drop me a thumbs up if you guys get some kind of value out of the content. I do appreciate that. It helps the channel. And then if you're interested in the private member group, link in the description below. I put out a video for them yesterday. I'm giving additional charts, additional trade setups, individual stocks, things like that in there on a more frequent basis. So check it out. $5 a month, cancel anytime. All right, let's get into the charts. I want to start out with Nvidia, and then we'll kind of just do it a little different this time because we're kind of chopping around in the cues. But here's Nvidia. On the daily chart, again, this is that big range that we're in, that topping range that we had big negative divergence building and building. We then broke that range to the downside on that deep seek news. That's your kind of big breakdown of the range. So that's a sell signal when you take out a range. They've been basically back testing it, and that's what they've been doing over the last few days, back testing that into the bottom of that range, which should act as resistance. And so that's kind of where we're at. We're just basically right there. If we keep going up into the kind of the middle of the range, we're probably going to run to the top of the range. And then I would say good probability that you at least spike the top of the range and put in a new divergent high. So that's the upside. However, that's only if we keep going up. We're at resistance. I think we're going to get rejected here and actually head back lower. So that's what I'm looking for. The fact that we're in the trading range with negative divergence, you have a breakdown, a back test, and then you roll over for the next leg lower. So that's my view on it. And what I'm waiting for is kind of that breakdown, kind of that gap down or breakdown to signal that, yes, we are actually heading lower. The other thing is, they did recently test the 200 days, so to see a bounce, that makes sense. But we're at resistance, so that's it. Resistance should hold until it's broken. So we just treat levels as valid levels until they break. And all levels break at some point in time, so you have to be prepared for that. But treat levels like they're real existing levels, and then and look for reactions off those. On the downside, there's a lot lower levels to go, but I could easily see, I think probably a good final target would be down here at about 75, and that's kind of a swing trade. All right, it's going to take time. Meta, my outlook on Meta has really not changed. There's a big bearish rising wedge, big negative divergence on the daily chart. That still remains intact. They have broken out to the upside. To me, this still looks like kind of a blow off top, stop rate price action, and I think we're going to roll over in a pretty meaningful way. Hasn't happened yet though, so you don't want to get too bearish, obviously, and just load up on short. So I have a starter short position. It is down slightly, about 3.66% on that starter short position. I'm not adding to this trade until I start to see price action in the direction that I think we're heading, which is down. But if I look at the hourly chart, you can see this is the recent price action on the hourly. You had support, kind of floating there. And recently we're just floating sideways, but we are diverging lower on momentum on the 15-minute chart. Or this is the hourly chart. So hourly we have negative divergence as well. Momentum's dropping off. Price is really, it's floating, all right? It's just barely making new highs. This looks like topping price action to me. Doesn't mean we can't continue to kind of grind higher or float higher, but the momentum's dropping off. Eventually, as the momentum drops off, price catches up and says, okay, there's no more buyers. So this basically signals the buyers are drying up, okay? So even though price continues to float higher, the buyers are drying up. And we should see a reversal in price. Probably going to come tomorrow on the CPI, as far as I can tell. With this float, looks like we're going to maybe gap down tomorrow on the CPI. So that's just kind of a short-term guess, but I still like this, looking to add on downward price action for this one. Tesla, rolling over. All right. And so, Tesla, I've got some support down here at this trend line in the 200. That's where it's likely headed. So some lower prices there in Tesla. It's not going to go too far, though, without the others breaking down. So Tesla might come down here at support. We need to see where the other Mag 7s are at because, if the other Mag 7s are holding up, Tesla's going to hit the support and bounce, And today they're buying Microsoft or Apple. What I'm noticing and why this kind of continues to look like topping action, the momentum across all the Mag 7s, it has pretty much dried up. And what we're seeing is money moving from one to the other to the other. So one day they'll sell off Apple and they'll be buying Nvidia. The next day they're selling off Tesla and they're buying Apple. And there's just this game of whack-a-mole where money kind of continues to rotate from one Mag 7 to the other. And because they're so heavily weighted, it can keep the market really kind of propped up. But until all these things, new money starts flowing into all of them, they can't go, the market can't go any higher. So it just looks like money's kind of rotating from one to the other and it's keeping the market propped up. It looks like topping action to me. But again, this can continue. We can continue to kind of grind around and float around. And if I go to the triple Qs, you'll see here, that's kind of what's been going on. Here's the hourly chart on the triple Qs. Again, you see here really going back. Oh man, really, going back for a while, but you rallied down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. Okay, you're going nowhere. It's just this big chop zone, big sideways range. So kind of waiting for the range to resolve one way or the other. If you're looking for a trend trade, right now we're kind of up near the top of the range. So, a breakout is bullish, breakdown is bearish, and that's really it. The weekly chart on triple Qs continues to have a big bearish engulfing candle. It's right here. There's your bearish engulfing. Treat that as the top until proven otherwise. And if, again, I've said that for a while because it's held as the top. For, once you had that, you had about 2 months. We have not had a weekly close above that level for 2 months. Okay, that has been the top for the last 2 months. Doesn't mean we haven't really gone down. We're kind of chopping sideways, but we're not going up. So consider that. The top is in until proven otherwise. And if the top is in, you can, usually you see kind of this floating sideways action before you get the move down. Okay, so keep in mind on that. Kind of similar if I go back to the last time the market had trending action down. This was back in 2021. You can see here, there's your bearish engulfing. I know it's a big messy chart from past circles. There, I kind of cleaned it up. There's your bearish engulfing right there. And you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 weeks where if you treated that as the top, you did not get a daily close above there. We basically traded sideways for about 6 weeks. And then we started to trend lower. And, you got this big downward price action. So very similar. It kind of looks almost the same, basically. Where there's the bearish engulfing, topping price action for 8 weeks. And, if the charts indicate that we're going to get this again, all right, which would mean a big down move in the market. So that's what I'm looking for. And XLV is trading into resistance. This is your healthcare sector. You can see lots of reactions on this level. That was resistance before, kind of held as support, resistance. We're slightly above it, but here's the thing. This is kind of that topping price action. They're just battling with the 200, trying to hold it, but it looks weak. It looks like weak price action. And then also, if you look on the daily, we're starting to get negative divergence on the RSI. And don't quite have it there on the PPO, but we do have it on the RSI. If we go down to the hourly chart on XLV, you'll see clearly we have negative divergence where momentum on both indicators is moving lower, and yet price continues to kind of pop up and make divergent highs that get sold into. Divergent highs, sell into. Divergent highs, sell into it. So to me, this looks like topping price action, and we're about to break lower. And that's consistent with the daily chart being that we're at that key level of resistance. So looking for lower prices in XLV here in the near future, likely going to move when the triple Qs moves and these tech stocks move. So that's it. I think CPI comes out tomorrow, so we'll see how that comes in. And as of right now, we'll react to the levels. I'm looking for kind of a gap down on CPI, but it doesn't have to go that way. We can obviously move higher, so we'll just react to those levels. Until then, we're kind of stuck in the trading range. And until that changes, it's kind of just short-term things, little bounces and pullbacks and short-term trading opportunities. So I'll get the video out and catch you on the next one.